Welcome to the Conquest Champions Battle Report League. I've taken 8 tournament veterans and pitted them against each other in an elimination tournament. This is game 4 of round 1. This time we have Dunland, led by the Green Dragon Jeremy, going up against the Dwarves, led by Al, the King Under the Mountain. The winner of this game will progress into the next round, while the loser will be kicked out. The stakes are high. Who's gonna win? You'll have to watch to find out. Our battle sector for today is Lothlorien. This is a really interesting table with a lot of verticality on it. I'm really interested to see how this line of sight blocking terrain changes how our players plan out their game. Speaking of our players, let's go meet them.
Hey, I'm Jeremy. I'm on the Green Dragon podcast. If you want to listen to my voice, but if you want to see my face, watch these videos with Jacob.
Hi everyone, it's Al again, back on the channel. Today I'm bringing a kadad-dum list with Durin as my leader and a lot of Khazad-guard. They're going to be heaps of fun to play because they hit really hard and can take a hit back.
I'm playing Dunland today, and I'm looking really forward to 500 points of Dunland, Goroth and Thryden and the Oathbreaker and Maker, whatever he is. He's doing something, and some Wildmen, so it should be good fun. I've also got some Crebanes, so they're going to fly around and do all kinds of nastiness.
It's going to be a bit hard against Dunland because they're outnumbering me and they've got the horses, so I'm really going to have to find a key position on the battlefield to anchor my army and hope he can't outflank me and kill my dwarves quick.
I'm going against dwarves, so I need to pin the dwarves in place with my cheap infantry and then hopefully hit them in the flanks with the cav and just munch, and then feed Durin just a wildman a turn and hope he calls heroic combats.
It's really exciting to come on for this Conquest Champions League. I'm keen to have a few fun games and see where that takes me.
I'm playing the Conquest Champions League. I'm very excited to do this. Haven't been involved before and I'm hoping to really shake things up with my Dunland. It's just unbeatable. So I don't need to talk myself up because I just know that the results are going my way.
Jeremy has been playing the game since it was released, and he's been running the Green Dragon podcast for over 7 years now. He's one of the most experienced players in the world. Al recently came second place at a 750 point tournament with his Durin's Folk, so he should be coming into this game with a lot of confidence in his dwarves. The most important thing about our miniature wargames is, of course, the miniatures. And that's why we have partnered with Medbury's Miniatures. Medbury has an impressive catalogue of fantasy miniatures that I personally think make for great alternatives for the Middle-earth strategy battle game. You can get them as digital files that you can 3D print yourself at home for just cents. Or you can get a lot of them from the Conquest Creations web store, with the rest of them coming soon. Medbury also has a Patreon campaign where each month he releases a full faction's worth of miniatures. This month, it's the Northern Kingdoms that have fallen. Personally, I'm going to be using these miniatures as an Angmar army. The Patreon only costs about $10 a month, and it also gives you 30% off on his Gumroad site where you can get his full catalog. So really, signing up for it just makes sense, and it's going to save you money. If you like the channel and you want to see more content and more battle reports, then the best way to support us is by going and joining Medbury's Patreon campaign. Let's get back into the video now. In the Conquest Champions Battle Report League, 3 scenarios are drawn at random. Then, each player takes turns vetoing one of the scenarios. This ensures that the scenarios are balanced for both players, and it makes for a much more interesting game. In this game, our 3 scenarios are Assassination, Domination, and Capture and Control. Let's get into this game and see what's going to happen.
I'm going to veto Assassination because there is a Durin there and I do not fancy fighting any hero shenanigans, any rubbish, anything like that. So no heroes, let's just fight some warriors.
Capture and Control and Domination are pretty similar, but I like that in Capture and Control you can tag the objective and walk away from it. So I've decided to veto Domination.
In Capture and Control, there are 5 objectives spread around the battlefield. At the end of the game, each of them are worth 2 points, and to hold them, you just need to be in control of them at the end of a turn. Then you also want to kill the leader and break the enemy. Al won the roll-off to choose table sides, and the table sides were very even on this board, so it didn't particularly matter. Now he went with his big warband of Durin and a whole bunch of Hearthguard. In case you don't know what Hearthguard do, they are Defense 7, Strength 4, Fight 4, and they have the Burly special rule. Burly gives them +1 to wound. Pretty much these guys are super durable, hit super hard, but they're very expensive point-wise, leaving Al at a significant numbers disadvantage. Jeremy responded to this cleverly. He put down Thryden. Now Thryden had a warband of cavalry and Creebane, meaning that this warband is super fast and can redeploy pretty quickly, so he just put them central but away from the main battle line, so that later on he could decide which side they want to go. This is a really, really clever play, and just shows some of the experience that Jeremy might have. And those beautiful, beautiful horses look so good on the table. Just want to look at them all day long. Al responded with his second warband, which was just the captain and some archers. Now this could have just been an easy drop, but Al actually thought about this and changed his mind a little bit here, spreading them out and putting them just in the right position so that he's able to tag those objectives, because you can tag them and leave them, and that means you control them at the end of the game. So he just pushed his captain forwards a little bit. Jeremy responded in a reasonable way. He'd only had 3 warbands, so next up was the Wildmen. These guys are cheap as chips. They come in at 5 points each, and their stats are pretty terrible, but they just bulk out your numbers. Now their leader, the Oathmaker, you can see him in the middle here, he gives them all Fearless. Because Al only had the 2 warbands, that meant that Jeremy could put his second warband down. This one was Gorolf with a bunch of Dunland warriors. Gorolf is a special character who gets the ability to call a heroic defense for free if he's fighting another hero. This is super powerful, and it actually makes him really, really tanky. And this is our board after deployment. You can really see how those Dunland warriors outnumber the Dwarves by so much. It's going to be interesting to see where this game goes. Let's get into turn 1. Priority has gone to Al with the Dwarves. So Al's staying still with 3 of his archers, and the other lot just moving across. Is that a half move?
Yeah, that's a 2.5.
Because those archers just moved 2.5 inches, Al can still shoot with them. Now he's just forming his lineup a little bit. You can see that he's actually starting to form an L shape here, so that he can take the Dunlandings on all fronts, but he's spreading out a little bit. That goes into Jeremy's movement with the Dunland, and you can see here that L formation that Al's made.
Okay, so I'll move this Wildman back to tag the objective, because you know Dwarves are never going to get that one. These guys will wander forward, but just coincidentally stay just outside 5 inches. I don't know why that is.
So Jeremy's left his Wildmen more than 5 inches away from the Dwarves, so that next turn, if the Dwarves have priority, they won't be able to charge them. This is a good idea because they will rip through those Wildmen. He's also sending a flanking force around the side to hopefully contest that wider objective. On the other side, it looks like Jeremy's committed pretty hard here. He's flying his Creebane over his line. Now, if you don't know what Creebane do, they're 20 points, and they have 4 wounds at defense 3. So they have a lot of wounds, but a low defense, but they're great tanks because of that, and they can fly. And then, unsurprisingly, Jeremy's just pushing his line forwards. He's taking the area that Al left there for him to move into. There are a lot of Dunland warriors coming through here. And finally, the cavalry also moved around that side. Seems like Jeremy's committing to where he is going to absolutely slam into those Dwarves. And this is where Thryden has ended up as well. Now, in the shooting phase, both sides were completely ineffective, getting 0 kills each. And at the end of the turn, the objectives are claimed. So, Jeremy takes the back one.
Takes the back one. This one looks like ours.
Goes to the Dwarves.
Oh, another one for the Dwarves.
Dwarves.
Oh, another one for the Dwarves. Do you want to put that one out? Yeah.
So 3 objectives controlled by the Dwarves and 2 objectives controlled by Dunland.
Yep.
That takes us into priority for next turn. Goes to Evil, so it's Dunland movement. Al, you going to call any heroics?
Oh, that's a good question. I might take a moment to think about that. So after a bit of thought, I have decided to call a heroic move with my captain, so I can choose the engagements for the second turn.
So with no counter from Jeremy, that's Dwarves movement.
So captain reaches up to this guy, the black beard. Captain must move first. He also reaches the archers at the back. He will go first and tag the Huskarl. Rangers will follow his lead.
Now I'm not sure I agree with Al calling a heroic move here. It doesn't seem like he gained a lot because he just was able to tie up the first few Dunland warriors, meaning that the rest are going to be able to come in and decide where they're fighting. But I'm sure he has a plan. So Al's heroic is just plugging in space with these dwarves and getting a lot of combats in there, which goes to Jeremy's normal movement next.
So I'll move Trident in there. Hopefully that can fit in there, but what I'll do here is flick the birds around over here. One in there. One in there.
Jeremy's responding in a pretty predictable way here. He just wants to get bodies into combat. Now, because the dwarves are pretty short, this is a really thin line of dwarves, and they're not going to get reinforcements from the rest of the army for a turn or two here. And Jeremy getting the charge in with some of his cavalry might mean that he's able to punch through and start wrapping them up here. The dwarves are going to need to be hardy and use their high defense to survive this turn, while the rest of the dwarves make their way to this side of the table. And the wildmen looks like they're not being fearless and backing up.
Tactically sound.
I think I will start to move over onto this flank where the fights have started, so I can shore it up for the next turn.
This move has left Al in an awkward position. He's got 4 of these dwarves that are staying behind to protect this flank objective from the full horde of wild men. With the movement phase over, we go into the combat phase. That started with a dwarf ranger being taken down by a warrior and a Crebain. In return, another ranger managed to put a wound on a Crebain, but those Crebains have 4 wounds, so it still has 3 more to go. Gorolf then slayed a dwarf ranger, and another dwarf ranger was pushed back and then slain as well. That is brutal losses from the dwarves already. Dunland really can pack a punch. Further up the line, one of the Khazar Guard that was a bit overextended actually got trapped and killed because of it. That's gotta hurt. And then, a Dunland cavalry with a Huskar killed another Khazar Guard. These losses are getting massive for the dwarves. This is not what they wanted, especially with Trident killing one more Khazar Guard. Dunland are making the heavy armor of the dwarves look like tissue paper. Good news is the dwarves actually managed to win a fight, but they didn't kill the Dunland warrior. And then the captain, with a friend who had great odds of winning his fight, botched his roll and got pushed back, but thankfully no damage was done there. This was a brutal turn. 6 dwarves died and they didn't kill a single Dunland model. Not the start that Al was hoping for, but let's see what he can do next turn. Priority next turn went to Dunland. Al, what did you do?
I decided to call a heroic move with my captain to try and stop his horses charging this turn.
Alright. And Jeremy?
I decided to counter that to get my horses to charge this turn, but also because I can keep enveloping these dwarves and keep them off the objectives. So my plan is to make sure that Al can't break through and hold him down. So my aim is to just engage those warriors. I've got a heroic with Goroth to try and challenge out this captain.
So 1, 2, 3 goes to evil, 4, 5, 6 goes to good, with a 5 goes to the dwarves.
Not factored in.
Well, you just got to consider them sometimes, don't you?
Always. So he will charge both.
Mm-hmm.
Al definitely needed this heroic so that he could hold his line together. His troops are mainly just engaging. He threw a ranger into Gorolf, which will probably die, but it's just going to slow Gorolf down from killing some of the more valuable stuff or killing 2 models this turn. Unfortunately, Durin wasn't in charge range, so he's not going to be able to fight this turn, and the rest of that force is just pushing across. Al got some charges where he could with his reinforcements, and otherwise they were just trying to get in line to stop that force from being enveloped.
I'm going to throw this wildman and try and capture this objective, because I now that I've got against 4 dwarves, I'm pretty confident in my ability to take it on. I'm not going to give Al really easy charges this turn, but I'm going to pressure it so that he's either got a choice now to totally abandon it and give it to me, or to engage with those dwarves. So I think either way it's going to be a tough choice for him. So I'll just get a nice little arc here. I'm more than happy for him to go at the flank, and if he runs right in the middle, it'll be into my kill box. So that is perfect. So he's stuffed either way. And I'll bring up some cavalry for support and make sure that it's in range of Durin. Then I'm going to go and just redress this and try and take advantage of some of the gaps here, because I see a gap over here, so that way I can move my models in. I don't necessarily want to move that Huskar in, but I think I will. So I'm going to put the Huskar here, as long as that gap doesn't disappear. I think that's enough for a model to win. That engaged both, didn't it? So can a model fit through there? Yep. So this guy will charge this one here.
Okay.
And just wrap around a little bit, that's all fine. This guy can see this one, so he'll go into there. Doesn't have to worry about that control zone now. Then I will probably get some support going. So let's support here. Let's support over here. And it looks like this gap might be big enough to throw an archer with him, so they'll just go in and maybe help out a little bit. There we go. These ones are just going to stay back here and help out in the rear ranks. And then I'll bring the horses around so that they can see things for next turn. Okay, so I'll just flip that up. That was pretty much the extreme. Can you just bring them forward an inch just along the road?
The horses?
Yeah. Yeah, that's fine. Just put them on the road. And I think that's all the stuff I could move. Nothing else was free because I didn't get the heroic move, which I'm okay with. I'll live with that.
Okay.
After Al's heroic in his now normal move, he is abandoning that wide objective. I think this was the right call. Those 4 Khazar Guard wouldn't be able to hold it, so they may as well fight where they can survive. And this is our board after all of the movement. The line has well and truly clashed on this side, and looks like the Wildmen are going to be taking some ground and taking some points.
So I'm going to use my Dunlanding war cry, which gives me +1 to wound with everyone within 12 inches of Thryden, which just happens to be all the combats. So I'm going to bank on winning some more combats and killing some more dwarves.
I don't have any might to call a heroic, so
Heroic combat.
I will not.
Goroth will call a heroic combat.
Alright, any others?
Nah.
Goroth's combat against a single dwarf ranger.
1, 2, 3 guys against a dwarf ranger.
I will strike normal.
Yep. Let's go.
It's a 6 from me.
I'll take
6
my roll.
from the dwarves.
And I'll use a point of might.
So Goroth down to no might remaining to win that fight.
Now to kill.
I am
First
trapped.
round attacks. 5 will do it. With +1 to wound. So he doesn't have to go first, so I'm going to go and just help out some of the combats around the place. So let's go and put a couple models, 1 into there, 1 into there, and Goroth will go over. Can he get into the banner? Yes. So he'll go into the banner.
Jeremy chose to do that banner combat next. Goroth with the higher fight won the fight, and he's strength 5 normally, pierced for strength 6, +1 to wound for the Warcry. He only needed 3s to wound, but Al was able to pass that banner off to the Hearthguard. Al continues to hemorrhage dwarves, losing another ranger. It's insane seeing dwarves needing such low numbers to be wounded. Then another one of the Hearthguard was slain by the Dunlandings with piercing strike and +1 to wound. They only need 4s to wound. But that does mean that Al needs 3s to wound them, and he finally managed to take down a model. And then just another Hearthguard lost his fight and was pushed back. As the fights continue, a few more Dunlandings are killed. The dwarf captain actually performs and takes one down, and they respond by killing even more dwarves. Next, we had Thryden. Now he rolled a 3. He only needed a 4 to wound. And Jeremy spends a point of might on Thryden just to finish off that dwarf. With that brutal turn from the Dunlandings, that has broken the dwarf line, taking us into priority for next turn. So, goes to the dwarves. Jeremy, have any tricks to play?
I absolutely do. So my first trick is going to be a heroic move with Thryden, because I'm worried that he won't get a chance to use up all his might by the time the game ends.
I will spend a point of might on Durin, because the game might end quite soon.
So, let's see the roll-off. 1, 2, 3 goes evil, 4, 5, 6 goes to good.
It's evil.
And
Yay.
coming up, Dunland.
Okay. Thryden into those 2. I will send Goroth into...
Does have to take a courage check unless he's fearless.
Will do. So Goroth charge. Goroth, what's his courage? Something stupid.
Roll it, see if it matters.
It might. 4.
Yeah.
Goroth is courage 4.
So that's 8. Even if he spends his will, he
Fails.
fails.
Ouch.
Yeah, okay.
So Goroth can't do anything this turn. I'm okay with that.
That's
That's
right.
actually really good.
But he's still got a control zone, so you might end up charging him.
He does.
So I'll put this one, charging that one. I will put this one to try and charge, what's his face? And his friend.
Duran and the captain? Yep.
So
He
he'll
loves it.
wrap around.
Do they have bodyguard?
I don't think so. If they did, that'd be
They
good.
do. They
Do
do,
they?
so he didn't even have to roll.
Oh, well, there we go. Should have done that before. There's no other terror here, is there?
No, just do it.
Yep. So put that one there. Put that one there. Pile them in. If we're going to kill him, might as well do it properly. He will go around there. This guy will go in there. This guy will go in there, and that's my heroic move. Duran's been engaged, but you've got that guy free, the banner free.
Even though I'm broken, everything is fearless, including my banner, which was picked up by
Yeah.
another Khazad guard, so
Yeah,
I don't have to worry about courage checks
Yeah, that's fine.
until Duran dies.
So even though the dwarf casualties are high and they're already broken, they have super good courage, they're gonna stay around. Al just needs to hunker down and see how much damage he can put out. He's a long way back, but if you've been watching the Conquest Champions League, you should know that no matter how far back you are, you're still in with a chance.
Get these guys running as far as they can. This guy can stay back and tag his objective. This one can just duck around the corner to tag that objective. The horsey will charge this one here, you can see him, so he's going to wrap around and go to there.
The Dunland cavalry just comes around the side to get involved with the dwarves, and the Creebane just flies over to snag that objective. Jeremy doesn't want to let Al get anything.
There's a banner there. Let's go after that banner. Anyone else? I don't think there was. That was everyone out of the heroic move.
So that is the end of the move phase, and the Dunland is closing in from both sides on the dwarves now. No shooting once again, so that'll take us straight into combats. Do we have any heroics to declare?
So we're both doing a heroic combat then, I guess.
Yep.
Let's do it.
I think we're both going to call the heroic combat. I can only call it with Duran because he's the only one with might left on his profile.
I'll call it with Trident. So you've got priority, so you're going to roll it off, Al.
So 1, 2, 3. You go first.
Yep.
4, 5, 6. I will.
You go
Goes to
first.
Duran.
Yep.
With that heroic combat going to Duran, he went first and unsurprisingly killed the one Dunlanding that he was fighting against. Now Gorolf has an ability that he calls a heroic defense when he's fighting another hero, but he has to be fighting that hero at the start of the combat phase, which is why Al chose to just charge into him and try to one-shot him with Duran. That could be something that could help turn the tide in favor of the dwarves. It went to Thryden's heroic combat next. He killed the dwarf that he was fighting against. Now, I was interested. I was expecting Jeremy to go after that dwarf captain to kill the biggest threats from the dwarves. But let's have a look at what decision he decides here. Thryden is the same fight as that captain, so Jeremy's been a bit of a pansy here, I reckon, and he's just trying to kill the dwarf numbers. He knows that those captains can only do so much damage before they run out. And a Khazad guard was just pushed back by the Dunlandings and slain again. Unfortunately, Al is still losing numbers at a very quick pace. The dwarf captain has been the underperformer of the game, losing a combat to a regular Dunlanding. He didn't take any wounds, but he just needs to be putting out damage. Next went to Duran and Gorolf.
So I need 3s re-rolling 1s to kill Gorolf. 2 wounds, get to re-roll that 1. I will spend my last point of might to kill him.
Didn't you spend it just to win the fight?
No, you got a 6
I'll go
on
with
that
that
roll.
The axe re-roll.
I'll use my fate anyway. Failed. So you use your point of might?
Yes, I
you're
did.
out
So
of
I'm
might.
out of might, but I did kill Gorolf.
Yep.
And killing one of the Dunland leaders is great for the dwarves. It costs might, but could this be the start of their turnaround? Unfortunately though, this was followed with another Khazad guard being taken down by the Dunlandings. Then a Khazad guard retaliated by killing one of the cavalrymen, and Thryden managed to take down another Khazad guard, and then a Khazad guard failed to kill a rider. That's the end of the combat phase. The final thing in the turn is to change the markers, and Dunland have claimed the rear objective. They've claimed the middle objective as well as the side objective, meaning that all 5 objectives are currently held by Dunland. Now on the roll of a 1 or 2, the game will be over. Al, let's see it. And that's a 3, so we're going to continue on. With the game continuing, priority went to Dunland, and Jeremy just begun to envelop the Dwarves. He's really using his weight of numbers, and he's not going to let Al get away with any lucky comeback here. As you can see, the Dwarves are back to back fighting off the Horde. Now, it might not be great for the Dwarves, but this is an awesome cinematic moment. They're surrounded and they're going to fight to the last.
So I'll call it heroic, just with my last hero, because I do not want to die with might.
The Oathmaker's heroic combat is going to start the fight phase. So there's a lot of attacks in there against just one dwarf.
Yep, so I'm going to stab with both the Wildmen, so they'll be gold. Thryden will fight with his sword, and the Oathmaker will fight normally.
There's the 6, so I can't win the fight because Thryden's part of it.
Oh, you did the sneaky don't roll. So roll me first lot. 6s will do it with whoever.
And with the heroic combat 1, Jeremy is charging forwards once again, Thryden going after more troops, and the Oathmaker going after that banner bearer who's currently supporting all of the dwarves in there. Now that banner bearer is really important to the dwarf force at the moment because it's just trying to boost their fighting capability a little bit, and the dwarves are just trying to hold on here. And Jeremy was clever and did that combat first, taking it down, and then Thryden killed his opponent. Another dwarf went down to a swarm of Creebane and cavalry, and then the captain, who was the underperformer, actually managed to win his fight, but he shielded, so did not do any damage. And then Durin lost his fight. All that's left for the dwarves is Durin and the captain, and that is going to be the final result of the game there. 2 models left for the dwarves with an overwhelming victory to Dunland. With the roll of a 1, that is game. Looks like it's going to be 11-0 to Dunland.
Okay, that game did not go as expected. Jeremy played a great game, countered me at every twist and turn. I'll definitely be back next season with a much tougher list.
Okay, well that went to plan, and well, it didn't go to the plan I initially intended, but when the deployment, when Al put his big Khazad Guard, Durin's powered up half guard in the middle, I thought I'll put the Wild Guard in there and just bait them forward. They didn't go forward, they went backwards and ended up charging my tough guys and just totally falling apart. It was impressive how well the Dunland managed to go through those dwarves, and they just killed them consistently, and I was able to just encircle the dwarves and take all the objectives and just slowly build them down. Durin is an absolute machine. I'm so lucky he didn't get in till the later turns. I think if he went in early, he would have caused all kinds of problems. He dispatched Goroth effortlessly. He would have gone through Thryden just as easily. So I'm glad that Durin was out of the combats for a turn or 2, and I think everything just went my way. I'm very excited about next round. I think this army is just perfect. It's got a mixture of everything. It's good fun. I ummed and ahed about taking Frida or not, and I don't think it needs her. I think those 3 heroes are really nice. So I'm really looking forward to next round, and whoever I take on, I'm just going to rip through them.